A growing number of women and girls around the world are forced to become sex slaves. The problem's getting worse in America. Kristy Childs knows from experience because she used to be one.
I was born in a smaller town in Missouri, left home, started running away, very abusive stepfather. Through running away, every time, I'm told I'm bad at home. Now the system that's arresting me and taking me back to that environment is telling me I'm bad. I knew to get away I was going to have to leave. So I started hitchhiking, and my prostitution started there. Through the truck drivers, I was doing whatever I had to survive, trading sex for a place to stay, for food. Ended up in Denver, turned out with a pimp on the streets, and was prostituting. Had an intermission time where I was married and had a child, and was not able to adjust. I had never gotten help for the trauma and all the other issues that I had endured. Ended up going back to that lifestyle. I was very depressed. This is when I was praying to die and using drugs, and it was a very, very dark time. I can remember just moaning out to God to let me die. Just please, I wanted to die. Ended up pregnant, already had a child that I wasn't capable to mother, and did not want to bring another child into this world with my situation the way it was. So I went to abort my son twice, and couldn't go through with it. Ended up I was threatening to miscarriage. So I was bleeding, and I thought, oh, thank you, God, this is my answer. I'm not gonna have to have an abortion. I'm just gonna, because I had abortions, many of them, and was made to have several abortions. Ended up at the emergency room. They were gonna do a D&C, but before they did that, they wanted to see if there was a heartbeat. And the moment I heard my son's heartbeat, God just spoke into my spirit and told me, I'm gonna bring you out. Have your baby, and I'm gonna bring you out. I was immediately relieved from my depression. I was immediately relieved from my drug addiction. I've been 18 years clean, my son's 17. My son, he makes my heart feel big, things that he does and he achieves, and even things that he fails in. He's so awesome. Everyone that meets him loves him so much. He's truly a miracle child, and he was my miracle, and he is what God used to make me into the person that I am today.
Yeah. Just live your life, man. Yeah. Let's go, come on.
There's different pockets all throughout the city where prostitution activity is going on. The Johns know where to go. Yeah, she is working. We do whatever we can. We recognize they're dealing with post-traumatic stress, and we recognize that they're full of anger because they're full of pain. We're peer counselors, being survivors. Here we do peer survivor based counseling or support, and we do individualized treatment. They cannot just walk away from it. We work on an exit plan to assist them to make those steps. I used what happened for me to help these women.
After leaving the sex industry, Kristy Childs became the founder of Veronica's Voice, and she joins us now on the 700 Club. Kristy, thanks for coming.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Where did the name Veronica's Voice come from?
In 1988, I came back to Kansas City, and that's when I met a young girl who was 14 by the name of Veronica. Veronica was murdered in 1993, and I named the program after her to honor her and to honor all the other women and girls throughout history that we have lost to this devastating trade.
When we think of sex slaves, we often think of third world countries, but you say that it's just as bad, if not worse, right here in the United States. Tell me about that.
Well, it's estimated that for every foreign national victim that is brought in from another country and put on American soil, we already have 14 of our own victims here.
Kristy, talk about how women get trapped in this lifestyle. How does that occur?
Well, for one thing, when you have a bias against you, there is a bias that is built around prostitution. So when a woman is trapped in that, to get out, because there's nowhere to turn, it's like, where do you turn to for those kind of things? The bias from society has always fallen onto the woman's part in this. And throughout history, this has been a survival circumstance for many, many women and children. And so what happens is there's a belief system that comes, that society helps perpetuate, along with the exploiter, the pimp, and society helps to enforce what the pimp is doing by criminalizing the women and girls that are involved in prostitution.
Will you talk a little bit about what these women and children endure on a daily basis?
Oh my gosh, there's just the act itself of a trade of sex for something, be it for food, a safe place to sleep, money, whatever that exchange is. Many of the clients that we have express that it's paid rape, and that is how they view it. And the violence, though, is also perpetuated through other activities. If you don't have your quota, if you're under pimp control and you don't have your quota, there's violence that takes place within that relationship, as well as, you're seeing many men that you don't know. So the rate of physical violence along with murder is very high.
Well, you talk about who the pimps in these scenarios are. What are they like?
Well, everyone kind of has this stereotypical idea of what a pimp is. Pimps can be anyone that is exploiting someone else for sexually, for profit, for gain, be it for drug and cigarette money, be it for, many parents do it. Here in America, I mean, and that's really hard to believe. So a pimp can be, there have been cases, there was a case where a high school coach was pimping out some of the girls from the high school. So a pimp can be anyone. It can be mom and pops, it can be a gang related. So a lot of gangs have activity that goes on where they are exploiting girls. So there's not really a stereotypical type.
Kristy, can I ask you, the average age of a child, I understand, entering into the sex industry is about 12 years old. That's the age that you were when all of this started for you. What could have been different? What could have been there that would have helped you?
I think people just did not have the knowledge that they're gaining now. And I believe a lot of that knowledge is coming from survivors like myself stepping forward to bring into the light the reality of what this life is. The juvenile system was not set up to ask the right questions, and there was abuse happening within my home, and this is a lot of what happens to young people that drives them out of the home, as well as parents that actually throw their kids out. So whatever is alive will do whatever it has to stay alive, and that's just the fact of the matter. And what people don't realize is that prior to going into prostitution, there's usually trauma, and then it's compacted with the life itself, and then the other traumas that go on during that life. So it's just a whole lot of complex traumas that have to be worked through to escape.
Well, Kristy, thank you so much for being the voice for so many of these young women, for these children. If all of you would like more information on Veronica's Voice and how you can help women trapped in the sex trade, log on to cbn.com.